Have you ever looked up at the night sky and seen that little red dot shining back at you? That's Mars, our neighboring planet, and one of the biggest mysteries in our solar system. People have been asking questions about Mars for hundreds of years. Today, we're going to answer some of the most common ones. Why is Mars red? Let's start with the obvious. Why does Mars look red? The surface of Mars is covered with iron-rich dust and rocks. When this iron reacts with oxygen, it rusts, just like metal left out in the rain. That rust gives Mars its famous reddish color, which is why people often call it the red planet. How far away is Mars? Mars is pretty close compared to other planets, but still far enough to make it tricky to visit. On average, it's about 225 million kilometers, or 140 million miles, from Earth. The exact distance changes because both Earth and Mars orbit the Sun at different speeds. At its closest, Mars can be about 54 million kilometers away, and at its farthest, more than 400 million. That's why sending spacecraft to Mars has to be timed perfectly. Has anyone ever been to Mars? This is one of the most common questions, and the answer is no, not yet. Humans have never set foot on Mars, but robots have. NASA's rovers, like Curiosity and Perseverance, are exploring Mars right now. They take photos, drill into rocks, and search for clues about the planet's past. NASA and other space agencies, like SpaceX and ESA, are planning future missions that may one day carry astronauts to Mars, possibly within the next 10 to 20 years. Could humans live on Mars? Here's where it gets really interesting. Mars has some things in common with Earth, like days that are only slightly longer than ours and ice at the poles. But living there wouldn't be easy. The air is super thin and made mostly of carbon dioxide, which we can't breathe. Temperatures can drop to minus 80 degrees Celsius at night, and dust storms can cover the planet for weeks. Still, scientists are testing habitats, growing food in simulated Martian soil, and studying how humans could survive long-term. Was there ever life on Mars? This might be the biggest mystery of all. Right now, there's no proof of life on Mars. But there are hints that it could have existed in the past. Billions of years ago, Mars had lakes, rivers, and maybe even oceans. Water is the key ingredient for life, so if Mars had it, there's a chance that simple life forms, like microbes, may have once lived there. That's why the Perseverance rover is collecting rock samples, which might one day give us answers when they're brought back to Earth. Why do we want to go to Mars? So why are we so obsessed with Mars? For one, it's the most Earth-like planet we know. Studying Mars helps us understand how planets change over time and maybe even what could happen to Earth in the future. For another, exploring Mars pushes human technology and imagination further than ever before. And finally, Mars sparks something bigger, the dream of humans becoming a multi-planet species. It's not just science, it's about our future. What's next for Mars? The coming decades will be exciting. NASA is preparing missions to bring Mars rock samples back to Earth. SpaceX is developing rockets designed for human travel to Mars. And scientists are asking bigger questions. Could we one day build a colony on Mars? Could it become a second home for humanity? We don't have all the answers yet, but every rover, every mission, and every photo brings us a step closer. So, from its red surface to the possibility of life, Mars remains one of the most fascinating mysteries in space. And while no human has been there yet, one thing is certain. The day we finally step on the red planet will be one of the greatest moments in history. Like, follow, or subscribe to Most Googled right now. Which question about Mars do you want answered next? Drop it in the comments.